A poll release report has found that an overwhelming majority of Israelis favor the expulsion of illegal migrant workers. IBA's Eli Wogolander spoke with Matthew Kalman, former editor of the Jerusalem Report, about the poll's findings.
What we found when we did this poll for the Jerusalem Report was that 75% of Israelis, 75%, are in favor of the government policy of returning migrant workers to their country of origin. Now, when you do any opinion poll, if you get 55, 60%, that's already a big majority. To get 75% of people in favor of anything is almost like a Syrian election. I mean, it's just extraordinary. And what that means is that the government decision is absolutely in line with the way that the Israeli public thinks.
Is it a question of xenophobia, or are people scared of losing their own jobs?
It's very difficult to tell what the feeling is. We saw very, very slight variations in the responses we got from people in the poll, depending on their religious affiliation and depending on their age and depending on their geographical location. Usually you get very big differences if you analyze the results between those different demographics. There is a slight variation between those people who actually live in Tel Aviv, who are closer to the problem of where the migrant workers now are and where there are demonstrations going on, and people who live outside the Gush Dan area are a little bit less interested in it. They're not so bothered. They don't feel so strongly that people should be returned. The other difference we found, it's a slight difference, but there is a difference, is that 3 times as many religious people strongly agree with the government policy to return the migrant workers to the country of origin compared to secular Israelis. So there does seem to be some correlation between religious belief and the idea that basically these foreigners shouldn't be in this country.
But maybe it's not a question of religious compassion, but more of a fear of the influence these migrant workers will have on Israeli society.
There have been some very high-profile rape cases and assaults in South Tel Aviv, which have been blamed on some of these migrant workers. But we found, by looking at the official statistics, both from the police and from the Knesset Research Unit, that the level of crime among normal Israelis is about 5%. The level of crime amongst the migrants is only 2%. So the actual criminal rate, according to the official statistics, among the migrant workers is less than half than among normal Israelis. So the idea that these foreigners have come here to, rape young Israeli women and assault them is simply not true.